Good day, and welcome to Far Reaches. We are four people from similar parts of the world who have wound up chasing different dreams and living different lives. We are Richard, Rawley, Joel, and Micah. Richard and Micah are from Southeast Oregon, from two small ranching communities known as Pine Creek and Plush. Rawley and Joel are from Northeast Oregon, from the Pendleton area. We met through college, mutual friends, and heard of stories of each other. Somehow wound up being at the same place at the same time. See, we live and work in different parts of the U.S. now and have all taken different paths to get to where we are. We all talk separately and live far apart. So we decided we should try and talk more together. We hope you come along and enjoy. Hey, welcome back. Welcome to Far Reaches Podcast. How your mom and them? That's right, guys. I just jumped right in, scared the shit out of both of them, but, why not? I figured, let's keep it live. Let's get little tunes rolling in. The boys are still checking out their, I don't know what they're looking at. I probably don't even want to know what you're looking at. Probably
Dogecoin.
Rancher porn for Ralls. What are you looking at, Joel?
Doge.
Bless you.
You know Dogecoin?
No.
I bought some Dogecoin today and it's doubled.
Oh, coin. Yeah. My buddy McDave's got some of that. Yeah. He's pretty happy. Yeah. So, a little bastard. Commie son of a bitch that he is, but that's all good. So, greetings, kids. Welcome back. We're down to Reach at the moment. Bradbur's somewhere. He's probably hauling hay or chasing cows or selling land or who knows. He's probably doing all three, on that maniac. So, yeah. Welcome. You got myself. I'm Micah. Mr. Rawley, little boy blue up there in the corner, and Mr. Joel in the ladies' locker room down below. So, greetings, boys. How y'all doing?
Good.
Doing well, Micah.
Outstanding. That's what I like to hear. Rawls, what's on the menu this evening there, good sir?
I'm having an almond.
Almonds.
An almond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almonds for Rawls. I look like pickled deer dick from this angle, but yeah.
Man, I just had some dinner. I went to next door to have some pizza. And,
good zaw.
And it's like a fancy pizza place where you sit down and.
Did we go there? That's the one we went to, right? Just down the street.
Yeah. And then they I pulled out some seafood or something and it fucking smelled terrible. And I have a very strong gag reflex.
Congratulations.
So made me gag. Had to run out of the restaurant. And then once I gag, it's game over. I had to rush inside and
You're a horrible prom date.
Threw up my entire dinner.
You're shitting me. No way.
Now I'm hungry again.
So they cooked some kind of seafood. Your gag reflex was kicked in. You had to leave. You yacked, and now you're hungry.
Yeah, it wasn't cooked seafood. It was raw. It smelled like garbage seafood. Like it's old. You know that smell if you don't take out the trash right away.
Yeah, when seafood's not supposed to smell like seafood, basically.
Yeah. Should have gotten my money back.
I think anytime you hork due to a smell, probably should be considered. Yeah, that's good pizza there too. That's what sucks.
Did Richard just text that he wrecked?
Did he have to poop? Oh, sorting wreck. They're moving cows stuff. So, yeah.
Oh.
I was like, what a wreck. No, yeah, it's a term where everything just kind of goes to shit. So, I'm guessing like they had most of the cows sorted and then somebody forgot to close the gate or something and they all had come back around through and all the hard work was probably null and void. That's my guess, if I had to guess on what one of the wrecks could have been. So, Rawls, input?
I got none.
You're not going to guess? You know, bad karma? Yeah.
I don't know. Shit happens.
Exactly, especially when Bradbur's involved. So we'll press on without him. He does have the entertainment spotlight, so we'll cover it as we can and probably circle back at some point or whatever, because we'll just go from that. But why don't we kick off this extravaganza brought to you by our tremendously good friends, ever so generous, so delightful, so helpful. So there at B&K Auto Salvage there in the beautiful Grand Ronde Valley. If you got all your shopping needs, over 1,200 used vehicles in stock and a large selection of 4x4 parts, 1,200 rigs. They got a lot of stuff there. I've been looking at their website. you're looking for an older rig, maybe project on, or a donor rig, so like you buy an old car and you want to put new stuff in it, etc. Good place to check out. We also had information that Bo reminded us that they do have flatbeds on there on occasion. So if you're looking for a flatbed, that was from our buy-in stuff last segment. Sometimes they have those in there as well. So a pickup will get wrecked, and sometimes that's the only thing left. So yeah, stop there, good friends at B&K Auto. Promo code REACHER. Get you a little discount on the buying and a little bump on the selling. What's wrong with that, right? I never mind a little bump on my selling. So outstanding. Perfect. Well, let's start with the weekly updaters. We call it the reach around. Joel, besides your gagging and ruining a good pizza dinner, how was your week?
My Dogecoin.
Yeah.
So I got a Dogecoin, as I already mentioned this week. That's been exciting. Couple big things that happened. Let's see. I took a golf lesson with a golf pro on last weekend.
Really?
And he corrected my slice. Now I know how to, I don't know if it's a slice, control that, and then also how to control a draw with the driver.
Draw and a fade. Yeah. So it's instead of a slice, it's more of a fade, or
I feel like I can't wait till I go out and play and actually use it. Because in Pendleton, there's a couple holes where you got the creek. The creek is right down the right side of the fairway, for example. And
like number 2,
the one that in the back 9, the one where it's like trees that are hugging you on the left, and then there's the with the weeds out on the right, the par 5.
Yeah, 15.
I hate that hole. I either hit it out of bounds or hit it right into the trees on the left. And now I'm excited to try he was like, you actually aim it to the out of bounds, and you can
draw it back in.
Draw it back in. So I'm looking forward to trying that out.
It'll probably go to shit. I'll just warn you, because it's just the nature. You got it all figured out on the range, and as soon as you get a chance to go try it.
Yeah.
But you can do it. So that's the cool thing.
One of those screens. So I don't even know if those work. But
cool.
And then on Sunday night, my buddy sent me a tweet from the Stand Comedy Club. Luckily, it was right after it was sent, so I got there in time. But it was like a special guest in silhouette. They said a smoking guest, and I was like, who is this? And like, oh yeah, duh, Dave Chappelle. So I went on there to buy tickets, and it was like, no, there's not tickets left anymore, and I was just frustrated, so I kept pushing the refresh button. I must have pushed it for 5 minutes repeatedly, and then it just worked. So I think because once you reserve your tickets, you get 10 minutes to buy them. Yeah.
So somebody was probably trying to hear back from Jimmy, if he wanted to go or not. And
and then somebody was like, it's probably not worth $200 a ticket. It's a fucking $200 ticket.
Mm-hmm. He's Chappelle though, dude.
Yeah, I was like, this is a once in a lifetime deal. So I got a couple tickets to that for us, and then showed up and got front row seats. There's probably 30 people there. And
that's the other thing. I was thinking it was a tiny audience. That's just insane.
Yeah. It was incredible. He probably didn't even do a full hour, but there was a couple openers, and then he was probably up there for 45, 50 minutes. But everything he does is new. He doesn't repeat jokes. I've never heard any
totally.
of his,
he's just
any of his stuff.
He's amazing, dude. Yeah, that's on my bucket list for sure. Yeah.
He doesn't even really tell jokes. He just tells stories, and then
it's observational with some funny quirks, and you're like, oh damn! It's just the way he frames things. He's not afraid to be honest and down the middle on something. He's obviously left on some, but just kind of down the middle, observational about a lot of stuff, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, but anyway, that was fucking cool. And, that ruined me. We probably didn't get home till 2, so I had to take a sick day, and wasn't feeling very good on Monday. But it was worth it.
That's worthy. Outstanding, man. You nailed it, dude.
Yeah.
Rawls. You shaved a little bit. You're wearing a t-shirt. You look half human. Are you all right? What's going on, man?
Oh, we got springtime showing up, maybe.
Ooh. Like a little baby bird just coming out of the nest.
Yeah. Not a whole lot. Just trailing some cows out to turn out and trying to get them out of the way so I can start doing some farm work and getting some ground worked up, fences up. It's just out of one frying pan and into another.
Yeah, exactly. Rinse, lather, repeat, as they would say.
Every year, you probably have 2 weeks variance in one direction or another based on weather, but
later,
you're going to be kind of doing the same thing every year. So
sometimes consistency is good. Other times you wish for something a little bit different.
Yeah, no, if I could change anything right now, we could use some rain. It's awful dry.
Oh, that's too bad.
We got good snowpack. Had good snow in the coulees in the prairie, and still a lot of drifts out there that are got all the stock ponds full of water. So we're set as far as that goes. We just need some good timely rains here and get some grass coming. So
that would be nice. Get things greening up a bit. And how's weather-wise? Temperatures 50s, 60s?
It's not. I think today we probably got up in the high 50s, but we're still getting down to 20 at night. So we're not getting enough day and night combined temperatures to really heat the ground to get it doing. But looks like this weekend we're going to see some high 60s and maybe some high 30s. So that should get us in the ballpark as far as day and night temperature to get some grass coming. But
yeah, outstanding.
You're getting good drought issues up there? Or is there just too much snowpack in the winter to worry about that?
Yeah, as far as the farm ground goes, we'll typically on an average year you've got good irrigation water at least through the first part of August. So a guy's typically good in the valley here. However, we can get drought issues in the prairie and on the range ground that can darn sure cut back your numbers you want to run or cut you short on your grazing time and through the summer. So it's possible. Sure. And we're not immune to it. I mean, we're in a pretty good location as far as catching West Coast rain. I know south of us they're really hurting. Some of the countries burn up. I've had a fella contact me today looking for pasture that typically runs down out of Klamath Falls, and they're droughted out where he's going. So he's looking for more grass. But it's a little
early to be scrambling.
Yeah, to be scrambling like this, but it can happen, and we certainly need some good rain here in the next. And I look at the 10-day forecast. It looks like there's some possible moisture coming in, in about 10 days. So we'll just see what happens. But May and June can get awful wet too. So,
hey, do you max out the land? I don't know if you own the land or lease it, but do you max it out with how many head of cows you can sustain? Or because I read that
book, great question.
the last cowboy, I think it was called, about the that family of the bareback riders, the Wrights.
Oh, the Wright, yeah.
Yeah, and they talk about that. Their ranch down in New Mexico, like there's a lot of talk in there about about how many head their land can sustain, and it seems like they're always like kind of pushing the limits on that.
Well, you have what we call AUMs, and
animal unit months carrying capacity.
Animal unit months. It's a way to measure what your capacity is, which is basically what Micah just said. So it varies. Say in our area, topography has a lot to do with it. We've got a lot of really steep country, still have a lot of grass in that country. However, it's not as accessible. So your AUMs can vary. I would say an average AUM for the Zumwalt Prairie where we're at is going to be somewhere between 12 and 14 acres per cow. And so I figure on about 14 acres per cow, just to be on the conservative side, or cow, I say cow, pair.
Yeah, it's figured on. I think it used to be. It might still be a 1,200-pound calf pair. What their forage consumption would be in a month, and so when he says 12 to 14 acres, that's
on a 6-month grazing period.
Yeah,
is what I'm going off of. So, what that comes back to per month is, I don't know, about 2, roughly. I err on the caution side there. So, yes, to answer your question, Joel, you do kind of want to push those limits. Several reasons. However, from in my opinion, from a grazing standpoint and grass management, I also I would like to, on a good rotation. You don't want to graze the same piece of ground the same every year. Say if you graze it really hard in June and July every year, you're never going to get any reseeding of that ground with the plant. So you rotate your pastures so you're not losing the opportunity for that forage to reproduce. And there's guys that there's a lot of different theories on how to graze it too, and
a lot of tools.
There's just some guys leave it dormant for a year, and then, or I say dormant, they don't graze it for a year, and then they'll go back the next year and they'll graze it pretty hard. So there's a lot of theories, a lot of ways to do it, but where we run on the same ground every year, we have to manage that in a way that allows us to make sure we're sustaining the ground and giving it the opportunity to be reproductive, but on the other hand, we're utilizing it to not the fullest potential, but to a potential that it will darn sure put pounds on our calves and make our.
That's key point. That's what you're selling at the end of the year is pounds calf.
Yeah.
So you got to balance that with your grass production.
You're gonna have a better, more expensive calf at the end of the year if it has more grass to eat, right?
You have a heavier calf usually, not always, but usually
heavier. Yeah.
A lot of that. That's what a lot of ranchers will refer to that as bloom, and what can happen. And in the ideal situation, Joel, if we could have good timely rains clear through August would be ideal, because what that does is it keeps your feed soft, it keeps green feed coming, and it doesn't dry out. So when your feed dries out, you start losing nutritional value, and when you're losing nutritional value, you're losing the opportunity to get pounds of gain every day. So your cattle can hit a plateau, so to speak, and they'll gain, but they won't gain the amount that you'd like to get your good weaning weights. So it comes down. Weather plays a huge role in our game, so to speak. I mean, you've got a lot of it's luck. You can't just go do the same thing every year and get the same result. So
is the different? I keep asking a lot of questions.
It's a great conversation though.
Is when you talk about the gains, it's not gaining as much as you want. Are you talking about it's off by like 100 pounds, or is it off by like 12
potentially
pounds?
Could be. I mean, you're figuring 2.5 to 3 pounds a day. Usually 2 pounds, pretty safe.
So you're not like sitting there weighing it. I mean, I guess you get good enough you can eyeball it a little bit, but I still don't see how you can see like 4 or 5 pounds.
You can make a pretty safe projection based on from your calving dates to your weaning dates, as far as and a conservative projection as far as to what your weaning rates are going to be based on an average year. Does that happen every year? No. Does it happen some years more than you think? Yes. It just depends on, and that's why when I say timely rains, that is critical, because we can manage our grass as best as we can every year. We can manage our grazing of the grass and move our cattle around and move our mineral around and make the best situation out of that. But if our feed goes to shit, our feed goes to shit, and rain has everything to do with that. So Timely rains is a huge part of, and it's not just in the beef industry. I mean, your farmers are the same way. Any dry dirt farmer that doesn't have any irrigation available, you're at the mercy of it. The wheat farmers over there in Pendleton can just get bent over a barrel if they don't get rain in the springtime. I've seen those crops absolutely blue as can be in June, and everybody's suffering with a very poor crop. So it's very similar.
It's about adapting, I think would be the easiest way to put it. Every year, and there's many ways to do that. There's rotational grazing, there's high intensity, short durations, like you hit pastures like almost like you're mowing it instead of a big open, expanse, and you don't get as much utilization, like i.e. you don't graze it as short. So if you hit it hard and move on to the next one, it grows back if it gets a little bit of rain. There's, and some people, I guess this is one way to talk about tradition versus adaptability is two things. You mentioned like how many cows do you run on your place? Some people are like, this is 1,000 head ranch, and son of a bitch, you're going to run 1,000 head, no matter if it's belly deep grass or worst drought in 50 years, they got 1,000 head. Instead of maybe cutting back a little bit because it's going to be a crappy year, or buying some extra sometime when you got a lot. And then the other thing that people either don't ever change or are willing to adapt is early weaning. So Rawls mentioned weaning, which is usually around 205 days, give or take. That's kind of the standard 205-day wait or weaning. So some people are like, man, the first Thursday after Thanksgiving, that's when we wean, and maybe if the grass is the shit and the cows are getting drugged down, if the calves are all right, you pull them calves off late August or first part of September if you got a place to go with them and get those cows on the heel and they're not supporting themselves and a calf, and be adaptable. I think it's like spinning 50 plates at once. And that's what Rawls is talking about. Like every year is a different challenge, so you have like your framework, like this is what I'm going to kind of roughly do throughout the year, but that's apt to change at any given time, given any number of factors. So that's the chaotic part.
I wonder, I'm also curious, and maybe we don't need to get into this in too much detail because it could be a very long answer, but I'm curious how much you leverage technology to create efficiency. You got averages on weather patterns and average rainfall, and you can expect that you're going to have this much growth. And, I don't even know what kind of metrics you might use, but you create it. You get down to where you're trying to squeeze out an extra 1%, 2% profit out of each cow or calf or whatever. If you got spreadsheets galore, or
no, that's a fantastic question. And yes, I mean, especially, and this is Micah's cornerstone right here. When you talk about genetics and the to put it in a light for you, Joel, Micah talked about the 205-day wait there. When we go look at bulls, that's a very big tool and a set of EPDs that a producer can utilize.
Hold on. Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
Say what an EPD is real quick, because people that run bulls don't even know what an EPD is sometimes.
It's an estimated prodigy. So it gives you an idea of what your genetics are capable of doing based on historical data from the prior genetics of those animals. So to go back to technology, we use a lot of different tools to try and I don't know if you'd call hedge, but we're projecting that these tools are going to help us in those times that are tough to help meet meet our market and meet the budgets that we've set for ourselves. So there,
I mean, okay, go on. Sorry.
Keep going. What I want to hear.
I kind of know a little bit like what Micah does with genomics and all that stuff, and like what you can expect through genetic testing out of a particular animal. But correct. I mean, you got a spreadsheet going and you track all of the historical data, and maybe use that data to inform your future decisions. Like, how much feed you need, and
even things as simple as
when you move
pasture rotation. Like, I've been able to, I average when I'm in, because like, so Rawls nailed it, and he's talking about, say you got 10 pastures, you don't always go start on this pasture on 1 June and go every 30 days to the next one and end up at the big circle. Like when you mentioned, like resting that one, like you're going to skip that one this year. You don't even do anything to it. So you keep track of that. Like, okay, on these years when I'm here, these
keeping
weeks,
track of it in your head, or do you
no, you should have a
spreadsheet?
Everybody does it different, man. Somebody's on a Copenhagen can, they got the red book. Some people have spreadsheets. I mean, there's programs you can get for this kind of stuff, like cow management stuff. Joel, this is the thing that used to drive me insane when I did nutrition work, and it drove me insane when I did genomics, is like, the more you treat this like a business, probably the less fun it is, but the longer you'll probably be around too, for those exact questions like you're asking. Now, other people, it's like, we do it this way. It's a good rule of thumb. You're not doing anything, like wrong or detrimental or whatever you want to say. I'm like, you're just missing some of those efficiencies, which is exactly what you're asking about. So I think the more you're in tune with these different things, and you're measuring it, and you're trying to take all these variables into account as much as you can without going apeshit. You can make a little bit different decisions and fine tune a little bit more.
I keep a red book, and I'll write down pasture moves in it every year. When we go to places, we may get to come back into the valley, or have to come back into the valley earlier in the fall to get to the irrigated ground to graze. Every year gives you a different set of circumstances. So yes, you can try to forecast, try to plan, go off past data, but like I said in the beginning, I was talking to Micah, it can be 2 weeks, give or take either direction, with our weather trend every year. I mean, a year ago, it seems like we were out earlier already. We were ahead of the game and doing farm work already. But this year we've had really nice weather, but it's been too cool to get any grass coming. So we're coming off of our winter places later, it seems like, this year than we did last year. But yet, I don't know how to phrase this to you. We're 2 weeks behind last year in some things, but we're 2 weeks ahead of last year in other things.
That pretty much sums it up, Rawls. If you had to make a coffee mug about ranching, I think it would just say that. It's so true.
It is. I mean, because when you're farming and running cows, it can go both ways, and that, I guess, that's where being diversified and having the ability to create income out of 2 different areas of ranching, it helps. It really does. I mean, we don't have our eggs all dropped into a basket full of cows, and where we have to depend more on when we get out there But then last year, when we came in the fall, we came in later than we have in the past. We had more feed longer, so it just it varies.
And I feel like you, as like a relatively young cattle rancher, like a lot of like the old guys that are still doing it, they probably don't use a computer at all, or maybe they do. I don't know. You could be making that up. Maybe they use it a little bit, but you could probably leverage if you collected the data. And I don't know how to do this. I'm not that great at this either, but I'm sure it's like ripe for disruption in a sense, where you could, the more data you have, and if you get somebody that knows how to analyze the data and make use of it, you probably like do something to be more efficient, make more money. But like when you say like you're 2 weeks behind this year, it's like, okay, or last year, or 2 weeks ahead last year, like all the data that surrounded that with like weather patterns and whatever, you can model it.
No, I'm certain you could.
You need like Google to get involved in this. They're people.
No, we
don't. It would be interesting.
People like that are that smart.
Yeah, it would be interesting to. I mean, you could create the spreadsheets and I think get it yourself, but it would be really fun to collect your your annual length of grazing time that you get out of your summer, your weaning weights from each year, and then cross it over the top of your weather trends and your weather patterns, and
highly
see,
correlate that. Absolutely.
you would definitely see the peaks in the rainfall and the peaks in your weaning weights, I'm sure. But the trouble is, and yeah, it would be useful information to have, but nobody can. I mean, you can generally by the seasons predict what Mother Nature is going to give you, but she can also bite you right square in the butt too if you're betting on it.
You're most likely just, no matter, and not to be negative, but you're most of the time you have to react to weather. You can't plan it very much. You can to a degree, but no pun intended.
Well, you could hedge. There's probably like other things you could do to hedge.
There's certainly technology too. We know where people are
using
drones
a few
a lot
more this year
to look at vegetation. Drones. You just fly over and it gives you the percent of cover. You're like, okay, great. That pasture's already ready to go. I don't even have to go out there anymore. I can look at my stats and say it's ready to be grazed. That's well ahead of what we've done before.
There's technology that's coming out, and there's a lot of us in the ranching industry that are utilizing our drought insurance. So we all pay premiums that gives us coverage for droughty conditions. So some of the new technology that they're planning and thinking of coming out, maybe they are going to start using it, I don't know, but they're going to start using satellite imagery to monitor the drought conditions. So essentially they'll be able to just take satellites and monitor the shade of the color of all of your terrain and whatnot, and essentially kind of be able to tell just exactly, as I understand it, within not a whole lot of variance, what your drought condition is as far as the amount of rainfall that you've had, just because of historical data that they've collected, and now being able to incorporate the imagery that they can take from satellites on that country. So yeah, it's technology is playing a bigger role in our industry every year.
I wish Richard wasn't pooping somewhere, because this kind of goes to regenerative ag a bit, Joel, what you're talking of also. And some people are watching numerous markets at once. You mentioned hogs for a second. Hogs, so if you're looking at different animal types and corresponding feedstuffs, etc., there's some people who highly adapt their place every year based on those factors. Like, I'm always going to have cows, but this year I might have 100 cows and I'm raising 300 free range chickens, and I've got 500 hogs this year because hog feed is cheap, hog prices are up, and they look at it as completely ROI on a per unit return basis, i.e., how much production do I get per acre of whatever I'm raising, and they look at it that way. It can be chaotic. I think it doesn't work in every environment for sure, because you have to have the local resources to harvest whatever the random things you are going to change to, and be able to get out and get back into things. But it's when you look at it from, I'd say the term bean counter strictly, I've got this many acres and I need to maximize what each and every one makes this year, and also preserve themselves for next. Some people are approaching it that way also, to a really finite degree. So, and there's that all the way to, we do it this way, we always will, and leave me alone. That's the cool thing. Everybody does it different. I've always said you can have two places right next to each other with 500 head apiece. That is the only thing they have in common, because they do everything different most of the time. And that's the fun part. It's also the chaotic part. Tremendous question, though.
I'm full of them.
You're full of something. That's right. Rumpf. That's a good start to the reach around.
What about you? What's on your
man, I got such boring, shitty stuff. All kinds of cool work stuff. One thing I try to keep it out of the mix, but taking my rig back next week. My Toyota going back on lease. Found the dealership today. They're going to take it back. When you do a lease, the one that's really required to take your rig back is where you first did it at. Not where you first did it at, but where you got your pickup from. So mine would be in Nebraska. So it's like, please, Lord, but I had to go to the Lexus dealership over by Jacksonville. So Monday, taking that off and dropping it off, and my garage is going to look a lot different now. And
did you buy another car already?
Yeah, I bought a used Toyota 4Runner a few months ago. So it's all paid off and sitting there. I've just been I haven't moved my other pickup in several months.
Speaking of buying a car, Joel, did you ever find anything you wanted to buy?
Yeah, I did.
I did.
God, I mean, it's so hard to decide because there's.
You're starting to sound like Brian.
Oh man, now you're just getting mean.
I swear I just heard your brother.
You totally did.
Yeah.
Totally
well, there's no cars that have everything I want. You know, it's like, oh, that car is fucking great, but then it doesn't have a panoramic sunroof. I want that. I really like the Ford Broncos. I don't know if they'll be out in time. Like, I would get a Jeep Grand Cherokee.
You were like totally poo-pooing me when I said you should check out the Bronco. You're like, oh, fuck those things. And now you're like, I really like the Bronco. What happened?
No, the Bronco Sport. I don't like that.
No,
I'm talking about the real Bronco.
Yeah.
The Bronco Sport's like the little, it's on like a Ford Escape frame.
Yeah, that's right. It's still just generic Bronco. Yeah.
Yeah, they're fine. But the new one, the actual real Bronco that comes out, I think like probably in May or June, that'll be available for purchase. Like, those are pretty fucking cool, but they also aren't all that luxurious inside. They don't have a moonroof. I mean, the whole fucking roof comes off of them, but
so
how often are you going to do that? I'm going to do that.
As soon as you can, man. Hell yeah.
I think that would be pretty cool to have one of those. That'd be fun. I don't know how practical it is, though, is the thing. If you're spending $40,000 on an automobile, which seems these things are so expensive too.
What do you consider practical? What are you doing?
I don't know. I guess I don't need anything practical. I'm not dropping the kids off at school or anything like that. But
yeah, like, do you even really need a rig? Like, deep
down?
I
don't know. I mean, I just need a
practicality
Camry. I probably just need a Camry, but I don't want a Camry.
That's the whole point. That's the beauty of it. Is like, it's what you want. That's what a car is all about. That's why there's all different shapes, size, colors, this, that, and the others. What do you want, man?
Yeah, I think I might just hold out. I'm going to get a 2-door Bronco.
There you go. Yeah, put your order in. Wait, it'll be there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like a red one. One, maybe.
Order the shit out of it. Order it just like you want it. Do it at least once.
Yeah.
Everybody should do that at least once. Then you'll never fucking do it again, but do it at least once.
I know women that make up their mind better than you, Joel.
My list of cars that I'm like, I can't decide between is probably 12 deep.
Sure. It probably all Jeep, over the board.
I think the one that makes most sense is a Jeep Grand Cherokee. But
you need to just go.
They're redesigning it. I'd rather wait until the new one comes out, right?
Yeah, you need to go just test drive the shit out of all of them.
Absolutely. Go to Auto Mall over there in Pasco, Tri-Cities. There's like 50 dealerships within a quarter mile over there. Just go drive the bejesus out of everything and have a blast.
I really like the GMC Canyon, and the Ford Ranger is pretty good too. But the problem with those, again, they don't even have a sunroof at all.
No, and they're I think both the Canyon and the Ranger are too small.
Where are you planning on keeping this car? Are you going to stay in the Northwest with it?
Yeah.
Well,
you haven't even set in it yet, have you?
Huh?
Have you set in one of those rigs yet?
No. Okay. Which ones? No.
The Ford Ranger or the Canyon?
Never sat in any of them. I walk around the street and I see cars. I really like the Audi, the Audis, but I don't know.
Nice.
If you ever want to go camping, you can't even do that probably. wouldn't make any sense. I think like the good ultimately, I think the Ford Bronco.
There you go.
Could be neat.
Be
I think that's
fun.
probably what I'll do. Yeah.
Be fun. Absolutely.
Have you looked at a Subaru yet?
Yeah, those are good.
Are you making fun of me or?
No, seriously. Lesbian limo?
I feel like a Subaru Outback looks like the car version of Skechers, the shoes.
That was awesome.
They're so fucking ugly.
Yeah, but you
like
can't kill those things. You cannot kill a Subaru. Well, I had one person that was in the Reach Your Mail. She was like, for Joel's car, tell him to get a Subaru. And I was like, well, yeah, it'll last forever and a day. I mean, the Brit had a Subaru. The Brit had a couple Subarus in college. That boxer engine, you just drive the bejesus out of it. It just doesn't die. You want it to, it won't die. So it's like luggage or herpes. I think you get both when you order a Subaru. You have both of those forever. That's just the law. So if you want something, you can just drive off a cliff and probably go. The key might break off in the ignition, but you could probably hotwire it after that. You just can't kill them. It's like a Toyota Hilux. It's just never going to die.
The thing about a Subaru too is that it comes with an identity in a lot of ways. I feel like I know a lot about a person behind the wheel of a Subaru.
You'd probably have, I think Birkenstocks are probably on the floorboards when you get it.
Yeah.
Just going to say.
Especially if they have like a bike rack on it or something.
Definitely. There's that. You could break the mold. You could embrace the mold. I don't know what you want to do with that. You could make it your own though. But it was a suggestion. So I still think you probably like the Bronco, but you're in a unique position. You could just go test drive the crap out of everything. That's what that's what I did before I bought my pickup. I drove every half-ton pickup I could get my hands on. And that's what I like best. So I went and got it.
What'd you decide on?
Toyota? That's when I got my Toyota. Yeah, my Toyota
Tundra.
Yep. I tried to sit, and this is why I asked you about the Ranger, because I'm like, the Tacoma's a nice pickup. They had a nice one right there. I couldn't sit in it. My head was mashed into the top of the cab. Yeah.
Okay.
And the seat would not go up and down. Probably not. It might. I mean, we're both tall, but we're different. Like, so it depends on your torso height. But like me, I'm like, well, I guess that rules this out because I'd be paraplegic if I drove this over a bump.
As far as full size pickups, man, I think by far the coolest is the coolest looking pickup is a GMC Sierra.
They're nice. The new ones came out.
They just look like a cool pickup.
They're nice. It looked like a Toyota and a Ford, a Dodge all had some weird threesome, and that pickup came out of the deal. But it looks good.
Yeah, I like those. But those are like $60,000, right?
And we're cheaper ones also. I don't know if you want the butt massage or not, but
need leather, need a moonroof, need all the gadgets.
What do you need all that for?
I don't know. I mean, I had it in my pickup. I really liked it, but
yeah, I feel like it would just make you feel good getting into it. I mean, if you're already spending 50, why not just spend 10 more and get all the shit?
There's that.
I don't know. I got a 1983 GMC with a 6.2 diesel. I feel good getting in that puppy.
I feel real good getting in my paid off 2000 4Runner with leather and a sunroof too. It's pimped. It's limited. It's limited. It's nice. It's really nice. It's just older, but it's all paid off. I mean, like if the tree falls on it tonight, I'll make money on the insurance probably. Like it's because I did the same thing, Joel. I had like a $60-some thousand pickup. That's why it's going back Monday, because I had my fun with it, but I didn't like spending like.
What does that cost a month?
Like with insurance, it's like around $900
to buy it or lease it.
That's a lease. The lease payment is right around $750 or $800, depending on where you live, and it's around $100 a month for insurance because you got full coverage because it's on a payment, and it's a $60,000 some pickup. It's like the best pickup Toyota makes. Like you can't find anything higher above that unless you know some secret code word or some shit. And I was like, man, I'm dropping almost $1,000 a month on my pickup.
Okay, maybe I don't know. Then I go back to that.
So that's why Ralls and I are like, I really want to go buy some shit.
But really want a Bronco, but I don't want to pay $800 a month for something.
It's basically easy rule of thumb, and you should know this: is it's $200 for every $10,000.
For what, lease?
That's your payment. Roughly. Lease is a slightly bit different, but that's your neighborhood. So if you got a $40,000 pickup, that's around $600. Yeah.
Oh, so no, you did the math wrong then.
800.
800. Yeah, $800. Yeah.
800. Jesus Christ.
That's a good rule of thumb.
That is.
Depending on.
I don't know.
That's exactly why I said you go order exactly what you want. You drive it for a while, and you'll probably you'll keep it and do it forever, or you'll never do it again. And I am of the never doing it again spectrum. So, yeah. And at least because it was cheaper to register. That's the other thing. It's pretty inexpensive to register a vehicle in Oregon, I believe. But Washington is just atrocious because it's based on the value. That's why I leased my pickup in Nebraska, because they're the similar thing. It cost me like $4,000 in registration for my pickup in Nebraska, and it was $1,000 to renew that every single year for the joy and privilege of driving on Nebraska highways. Yeah.
What are your plans with your vehicle, Joe or Joel?
Like, what?
He wants to go cruise around. He wants to go up to the cabin.
Like, what all are you going to use it for?
Yeah,
Dolphin.
drive it out to the golf course. I don't know.
Just something you can do a little bit of everything in.
Yeah.
Good SUV or pickup.
Plus I want to enjoy driving it.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I don't know that. I would maybe look at like what Junior does. I mean, as far as his choice of pickup, because like he has similar interests in you. Might use them for the same thing. I'm not saying that you are like Junior or anything. I'm just saying similar interests. But I see like an F-150 4-door pickup, sunroof, leather seats, and you can find them used fairly inexpensive. They are very common, so you shop around enough, you'll find something that's been 40 to 60,000 miles on it, and not going to be into it nearly as much.
Yeah,
be safety staying here. I'm going to say stay away from the F-150 and that aluminum shit, man. I've seen some of the wrecks, dude.
You also don't get
you
don't get as good of a finance rate.
Pay a couple more points. It goes up the older they get.
Yeah,
for sure, but it's not that substantial. I
don't know.
It depends on
I'll tell you what, Junior's talking about getting a Bronco too. I think he put in an order for one. And I was leaning towards a Bronco Sport just so I could harass him and be like, yeah, we both have Broncos. And then he'd be like,
that's why you buy a rig right there, man. That's why you buy a rig to jack with your buddy. That's exactly why you buy a rig. Absolutely.
He would get so frustrated by me comparing my Bronco Sport to his real Bronco.
Or the exact same thing that he does. Maybe just one little nicer. I don't know. If you want to mess with people, that would be hilarious. Or like a 1986 Bronco. That would be funnier even. Yeah, I got a Bronco as well. What's the big deal?
Actually, what I would do over a brand new car, I think it'd be pretty rad to have like a really good condition, older, like an old Bronco. If you had one nice, pristine condition, but I don't know. Maybe they probably don't even exist.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere. People are making those left, right, and center, dude. Just like the Chevy C10 pickup now, like from 68 to 75 or 78, whatever. That is the hottest rebuild pickup right now you can find. People are putting brand new engines in them, like a brand new LS out of a brand new one, or out of a wrecked Cadillac or Impala or something. New suspension, paint. They're just hotcakes right now. Insane.
What's with Chevy Blazers? That was one I was looking at. Chevy Blazers were really cool back in like the 80s. And these new ones, they just look like every other car. They look like a GMC Terrain or a Ford Edge.
No character. No character. So that's
I mean,
that's the other
they're
option.
very
So
nice
you buy a
cars.
little shit Toyota Tercel or Corolla or whatever, and then you can get you an older project rig that you can fix up and have somebody help. Like Junior's brother does paint and body work, does a really good job there in P-Town. People build engines, like it's pretty easy, man. You find you an older used rig, fix it up. Junior's done that. I know his brother is really good at it, really, really good. So there's there's all kinds of great folks around that part of the world that do good rig stuff. Sure. So that's other options.
I wonder if I could just buy an old one and just take it to Bo and like, Bo, fix it. I'll pay you.
Bo? No, he might find you some parts, but there's definitely people around that do that. No doubt about it.
What am I gonna do with parts? I don't know. I don't
you don't
like
have to worry
making phone
about that. Like,
calls.
somebody else can do that, no problem. Like
I'm just
there's
gonna buy a
resto
new
shops.
car. Buying a new car, you just don't have to deal with people. Just I don't want to call like a shop and be like, can you do something? I'm lazy.
I know. I'm trying to help you, and you're not even listening though. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need that.
It's nothing's permanent. Like if you don't like it, you get rid of it. You try something else. Who cares?
Yeah, that's true.
We're just, I guess, experience and telling a little perspective. That's one reason I got a used Toyota 4Runner, because I want to get a project car. I want to build a hot rod. So that money is going to go somewhere else every month. Something I don't drive every day, but I can jump in my 4Runner and go do anything I want to do. But I'll probably waste some money on something else because those are fun.
Okay, Tim Allen.
You heard it here first, folks. Yeah.
Tim the Toolman Taylor.
More power. More power. Oh, it's too funny. That's a good time to switch to our we're going to try to do something on the entertainment spotlight, even though it's Bradbury's freaking 39-hour book. Did you guys get a chance to begin to read any of it? It's called Red Meat Republic. It's a phenomenal book. It's amazing, but it's long. It's close to 9 hours, I think, or just over on audio. Maybe it's 7. No, I think it's 9. It's in depth. He's like, and then on January 13th, it's amazing though. It's I'm going to bastardize it, but it talks just about how it all started in the U.S. and then moving throughout the plains, and working with the government and the guys for hire and all this stuff about how the meat corporations come to be, and the packing houses and the cattle lines and the cowboys. And you talk about a deep dive, and it's basically in like 3 separate chapters, but just about the land laws and moving the Indians off and incorporating and barbed wire. And it's insane. It is highly detailed, extremely interesting. It makes you kind of scratch your head a bit at times about the way things were done. It was all for, manifest destiny and growth, or however you want to put it. And it's like the big full circle of kind of how things build up and crash and build up and crash. But it's a great book, but damn, it takes a while. I'll just tell you that. That's one reason we skipped a couple days and went later in the week to do the podcast, so we could hopefully get a little more of a jump start on the old book of Rooney. But I'm going to get it all the way finished. Even I'm going to, because it's just really interesting. But a lot of stuff to think about. Have you ever seen the movie Tom Horn? Ralls, I bet you have, with Steve McQueen.
Yeah,
Steve McQueen. So there's part of the thing that they're talking about in the book, and they had the Texas Rangers did it in some parts of the world, but like especially in like Wyoming and Montana, they had like livestock officers that would get hired by local cattle people to keep their animals where they're supposed to be, and people who shouldn't be with the animals away from them. And so one of the things I thought about when I was listening to the book is that movie called Tom Horn. It's got Steve McQueen, and he's hired to keep everything where it's supposed to be. And so it's pretty interesting. But,
Joel, did you read any of it?
No, I never even. I intended to Google it, find out what it was, but never did that.
Yeah, I had to giggle today when you're like, "Hey, what's that again?" Yeah.
Go it maybe.
Yeah, I use DuckDuckGo most of the time. I use Google for work because I don't care. It's my work computer, but all my personal stuff, I DuckDuckGo.
If you want real information, you got to use DuckDuckGo.
I concur, my good sir. I would concur. So I know we didn't do that book remotely justice, but it's Richard's fault for picking something we couldn't get through in 14 hours. It is really important to read, I think, and get through it, though, because there's a lot of interesting stuff. It doesn't really change where we're at now. It just makes you look at it a little bit different and see, more importantly, where it might go next. So that's the only thing.
Richard probably assigns his students so much homework. Like,
that's an interesting question. We need to ask him that. How much, substitute? Well, if he's substituting, I don't know how much leeway they have with. But with him, I'm guessing if I was a student, I'd be asking Richard questions to get him off track and telling stories. And then he's like, "Oh crap, class is over. Go home." Yeah. So that's my tactic. If Richard was my teacher, we had what was his name, Mr. Har, I think. We had a substitute in middle school all the time. No matter the class, if it was algebra or geography or whatever, you think like, Mr. Har. Yeah, yes, there, young man. Mr. Har, were you in the war? Was I in the war? And then you had the whole time, and he flew bombers. So you'd have like amazing stories, but it didn't matter the class. He's telling war stories. So every freaking time. Mr. Har? Yeah, it was awesome. Best substitute ever. And that I remember his name. I don't remember what I wore yesterday, but yeah, I ordered two holsters for the same freaking gun from two different companies because I forgot that I'd ordered the other one already. They both showed up like a day apart. And I was like, you ever order shit and it shows up to the house? Like, what the hell did I get now? Like, what's coming from Amazon today? Why is FedEx here? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. So I open it up. I'm like, oh, sweet. My holster came. Wait a minute. I thought I ordered another. This is a gunfighter. I thought I ordered a Vetter. Next day, Vetter says like, aha. I did indeed. So I remember Mr. Har though. So
Rawley, did you ever have that substitute teacher that would I forget his name, but he'd have like push-up contests? Real old. I'm sure he was around when you were there. Do push-ups in the middle of class.
I didn't go to class very often. I don't remember.
Jeez, Ralls. You knew you had no class, but you didn't have to prove it.
It wasn't.
I think I've heard stories about that guy.
Did he have a beard?
People.
No, I don't. Well, maybe a gray beard.
Was it Mr. Grable?
No, doesn't sound right. I don't know. It was just real old, and then I remember he challenged me to a push-up contest, and I did not let him win. I won that. But probably should have let him win because he was probably like 70 years old.
Was he did he used to be a teacher?
I don't know. I mean, he was a substitute.
Because there was
probably.
I don't know. It's hard to say. It wasn't Jim Willis, was it?
Mr. Willis. That sounds.
What you talking about, Willis?
Was it Mr. Willis?
That sounds familiar.
Oh, yeah. He was goofy. Good guy. He called his wife Brunhilde. And because he was a teacher when I was there, and I'm almost certain he was the one that would do push-ups in class when you mentioned that. They rung a bell with me, but yeah, he was an English teacher full time when I was in school. But he was an interesting character. That's that hilarious.
Guy. No shortage of that, I'm sure.
No, he would walk around school talking to himself down the halls, just having a full-on conversation. All the kids would just look at him like, "What in the world was he doing?" And he was
little bitch bastard.
And he knew they were doing it. That's why he did it, though. He loved to get a rise out of people.
That makes sense. That sounds like a good teacher.
Just about bet it's him.
That's stellar.
Cool. Where are we at on our?
Well, we're just fixing to fire up the intellectual moment of the week, brought to you by Pendleton Michigan Cigar, downtown Pendleton on an Immigrant Avenue, Immigrant Street Avenue, right?
There's just so much irony in Pendleton Mixer and Cigar and intellectual moment. It just
thank you very much. It's one of the small pleasures of my world.
On many levels. On many levels.
It makes me giggle every time. It does, truly indeed. So yeah, promo code SHOPKEEP. So when you roll into Pendleton Mixer and Cigar, say "Good day, SHOPKEEP." You'll know for sure that you are a reacher. You'll be treated accordingly, and all will be well. So please do that. Please send us your experiences when you go to Pendleton Mixer and Cigar and tell the proprietor, "Good day, SHOPKEEP." It's one of those things that as soon as we get some hats in, I'll send you one for doing that because it really makes me smile. So the intellectual moment of the week, there's different thoughts. Or sometimes it's a quote, sometimes it's a political question. This was actually sent in by a listener. She didn't know it was going to be kind of put in this space, but as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I know exactly where that's going. So our intellectual moment of the week, brought to you by Pendleton Mixer and Cigar, is: what are your thoughts on having an adult beverage at lunch? Yes, no, maybe, never had. Thoughts, comments, concerns, questions?
Fine to do.
Fine to do. Fine to do. That sounds like some kind of little small town in South Dakota. I'm from Fine to Do, South Dakota.
I don't know. Like, I feel like when you're young, like for me anyway, like when I was like an analyst or something, like if you went out to lunch with the boss, like, no way, you don't order a beer. That'd be fairly brazen.
What if the boss ordered a beer?
No, I still don't think it's appropriate when you're young. But at this point in my life, like absolutely, I would order a beer. Gotcha. In my prior job, what we would do though was usually on Fridays we'd go out to lunch at like 1, get a little torn up, and then come back into the office about 4, shut down.
Good old-fashioned power lunch.
Yeah, you'd have to eat a bunch of Tic Tacs. Try to get out of there without my boss.
Yeah, Friday power lunch is phenomenal. I think it's obviously like Ralls, like your boss, total dick. So you got to really watch your ass. Sorry.
I don't know. First thing that came to mind when they said lunch and beer was my senior year in high school. And Chad Courtney and I would go to Taco Time every day and get 2 tacos for lunch, and then go sit in his Chevy Blazer and have a beer with lunch. But I don't care. I don't see a problem with it. I mean, I guess as long as you're not driving heavy equipment or doing something that's maybe could be detrimental to you or those around you, more power to you. And if you want, have several.
That's a good point. I think we actually had, when I worked for the Forest Service, there was actual rules about it. I think you could have 1, I think is what it was. 1 beer per lunch.
Yeah, I think
that was their standard. Not that it came up very often. Most of the time we were out in the middle of the brush and back around a beer.
That's an interesting question in the fact that, say, go back 30 years to 1990.
Don't say that out loud ever again.
I know. I guess my thoughts are like there was a whole different set of standards and you didn't have to, and I don't know what it's like to be in a workplace environment with pilgrims these days. I just see the PC behavior in society a little bit. And I think back to the 90s when that wasn't a cultural thing, and so you didn't think a whole lot about it as far as having a beer with lunch. I mean, people did. It just was something. Now I feel like everybody's got this identity that they're trying to upkeep, and they're worried about what everybody around them is going to think. I don't know. I don't deal with that, but it has an appearance from the outside looking in nowadays.
I think parts industry, parts atmosphere. Like for me, a lot of times it's sales involved, and if whoever I'm out to lunch with, if it's a customer, etc., if they have a beverage, then I usually make them feel normal, and I'll have one also. If it's a long-standing customer, it's probably a little more relaxed at times. Maybe that's why you're going to lunch, because they like to have a beer at 1:00 on Thursday. So you're going to go talk some business and have a beverage. We had a dinner just a while ago with some customers, and I only knew one of the customers, and the other two I did not. And so you get to dinner, and then the waiter's coming around, and so you always, hey, you guys go ahead and kick it off. And if they order a beer or a cocktail, then it kind of sets the tone. And if they don't, then you have the next question, like, do I really want one? And if I'm the last person ordering at the table and nobody else has, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'm like, I don't care. I'll order, and I've ordered a beer before, and everybody else is like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good idea. I think I'll get an IPA too. So part of it can be used to kind of set the tone that I don't care what you guys think, I'm going to have what I want. And I think Joel clipped on that a little bit about it. Younger times, maybe you don't, but older, you're like, I don't care what you guys think, I'm having a freaking beer, or give me a double penalty.
That was kind of the other way around for me. I was younger and didn't give a shit what anybody think, and had one whenever I wanted. Now that I'm older, I don't hardly drink at all. So
yeah, no. I don't much either. Occasionally, for sure, but
gosh, I wouldn't even get the beer because I'm just gonna want to keep drinking more beers.
That happens.
You guys don't drink at all. I drink too much.
You gotta make up for us. I had a nice little cocktail this evening. It was nice.
You know, it's what's more awkward is if you ever like, geez,
break your chair.
Yeah. Jess is gonna be pissed at me.
However bad you hurt, even after Jess beat your ass, I would hurt worse because I would fall over too.
But if like I've gone out, like when I met her folks, you go out to lunch or something, like they're not big drinkers, and so I feel weird ordering multiple beers with lunch.
Like, you guys ready to go? Like, I just ordered a couple more rounds. Hold on a second, I can get them now. Like, if you're nervous, you don't know what to say, you're probably going to drink a little bit more of it too than you normally might. It's a security blanket sometimes, especially in those kind of meetings, which can be bad because then you drink too much of it. So,
well, they're just judging you for drinking.
Well, yeah, don't fucking judge me. Yeah. Sponsored by Carl Pot Roast Peterson. So I think it's a good question, because I think it really depends on the environment and the tone of the lunch or the meeting, even just meeting in general. If it's a dinner meeting, I think too, I'd probably do the same thing. Because if business is involved, obviously if it's just personal, then who cares? That's where breakfast beers come from. So just saying, that's from Rochambeau for who has to drive. So
I hope that clears up the topic for whoever asked.
Yeah, she's a rather business focused woman as well, and I think she likes to have an occasional beverage. So she was just curious of our point of view. So just saying.
I wouldn't listen to me on that topic.
I wouldn't listen to us on pretty much anything, but
I know.
Well, three different industries have three different standards. So
100%.
Like in the professional business world, like working for a publicly traded company, it's fine when you're older. Not okay if you're starting out trying to make a name for yourself.
You don't want to make that name. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like,
what about
you?
I still think I have to look if you're that young and you're worried about the perception, and your boss orders one before you do, does it make it easier to maybe think about ordering it? Or you're not? You're just still gonna get iced tea?
I think you'll get away with it, but I'd save that for happy hour. I wouldn't do it.
Good point. Interesting. Yeah. You don't want to be the first person after the boss to make that choice. If the first person does too, and then it goes all the way around to you, then you're like, I'll get an iced tea, then it's still really who cares. I'm not going to judge somebody because they don't. I'm not really going to judge somebody if they do. I guess I would judge them more on a sales thing and business about not judging the room or being in tune with what's going on. That's how I would do that. If your customers you're taking out are strictly against it and don't do it, then you should know that, and you should not make them feel awkward. That should be part of your job.
Work happy hours, the people that show up and don't drink at all. I know you're not supposed to judge people for not drinking, but I 100% judge them and try to stay away from them because I think they're judging me. Like, I'm 6 beers deep. I don't want to talk to the person drinking club soda when they go into work the next day.
Because
Ryan Hamilton, I don't know if you ever watched his stand-up routine. He has a Netflix special, Ryan Hamilton. It's one of the funniest.
Yeah,
it's one of the funniest I've ever seen. And he's a Mormon guy. He lives in New York City, but I think he's Mormon, and he grew up in southeast Idaho, like rural Idaho.
Okay, yeah.
So his bits are, I think for our audience, they probably really like him.
It's pretty funny.
But he doesn't drink at all, and he talks about how when you're a stand-up comic in New York City and
like, what do you do after a show?
People, when they drink, they talk to him, or they try to avoid him because when they talk to him, you make plans, and then he shows up for them.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, "What are you doing? You should know that." Like, A, I forgot. B, you should know that's not going to happen. We're not going. Yeah.
8 a.m, he's out in Staten Island waiting for the hot air balloon.
That's awesome. Oh shit, that's too funny. Awesome. Well, we're gonna skip to a little grinding our gear segment if you guys are up for it. Brought to you by our good friends at B&K Auto. I think that's about the best person to sponsor grinding your gears. You guys have got anything that's grinding on your gears right now?
Go ahead, Joel. I know you do.
Sons of bitches. You guys are grinding.
I see shit that just pisses me off every day because I spend far too much time on Twitter.
That's your first fucking problem right there.
This isn't so much grinding my gears, but just what I guess we take this into a podcast in a political turn is everything's really cyclical. And I think all three of us recognize that. It's like you go through things of like what are Democrats going on about this week? It could be like sexism one quarter, the next quarter we're talking about racism, the next quarter we're talking about gun control. What are there's other things.
It's the Supreme Court now. Immigration is always a big one. Supreme Court, transgender people competing against normal people.
Right now we're back to police violence.
Oh, that's right.
For decent reasons, I'll admit that. Like, one, potentially two. Like, it's really unfortunate that those people got shot and killed, but not to make excuses. Like it's an accident. I don't think they go out there trying to do that. And maybe there's some deeper rooted problem with bias that could be avoided if they weren't biased. I don't know how you root that out though. But I just came to the conclusion, I think I don't want to keep having the news talk about this for the next 20 or 30 years. Like, we've been talking about it for 20 years already. Like, what they need to do, and that Tlaib, she put a statement out calling for abolishing the police. And what people should consider, like, it's a community decision, right? Certain towns, they get rid of their police departments because they're too small and they can't handle them. But why can't a place like Chicago vote? Like, do we want police? And maybe the vote lasts for a 10-year contract, because I was thinking you got to give the cops, the people that are employed, at least some job security. Give them 10 years, then we vote on this again. Do we want police again? Maybe there's been a lot of police shootings, and they're, in Pendleton, fuck, they pull you over for nothing, and Like, leave us the fuck alone. Like, unless I'm like clearly causing problems, I don't want to, I shouldn't have to fucking hear from you. If you get pulled over because you rolled through a stop sign, like, go fuck yourself. But they should reform those. And one, Pendleton could be like, yeah, we want cops. We want to protect our city. Or Portland could be like, we don't. And then watch that go to shit. And then maybe people will be like, actually, you know what? We probably need some cops.
I think so. What comes to my mind, and this is one of those shower moments when you're scrubbing your hair, and maybe it's the scalp stimulation or whatever, but when they're talking about getting rid of cops, what they're talking about getting rid of is local cops and replacing that with government controlled cops. I'm pretty sure that's their thought. There's no way in hell the people who have the military and barbed wire and armed security at all times really don't want police. They want police they can control. And they can't control a lot of times the local cops because they're hired by the city. They're elected sheriff. There's this, that, and the other. Because I don't think anybody in half of their right mind would say we don't need people to enforce our laws. I think they want the more control at the top, the better. Now, I might be falling out of a black helicopter when I say that, but it does not surprise me at all. Because they keep talking about reimagining policing. I hear that term way too much. And so it's like, obviously you local idiots can't do this. This needs to be federally implemented. That's what we need. That's the safest way. We know the best thing to do.
I think
that might be crazy, but
2
weeks to flatten the curve has turned into a year and a half of absolute assholishness. So never say never.
I'm into conspiracies as much as the next guy, and this could very well turn out to be their change in direction. But I feel like the Democrats that I've talked to about stuff like this, the liberals, they're all for, I think their view is that, especially when it comes to cities, like the cops patrolling a particular neighborhood should be from that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that. Like, you don't deal with that in Pendleton or a small town, but like in New York City, like the cops that are out here patrolling my neighborhood, they probably live in Staten Island or some nonsense. Yeah. Like they should be local people. And I think that's what a liberal would say. If they switch gears to like the authoritarian federal government police, like be curious, like to really
how do you never happen, dude?
Defend that, man.
It's easy. That's terrifying. Why we have like all these local. I guarantee you, like the local people can't have control of this. They don't have proper training. They don't have proper resources. The only solution for all your safety is federal police. We can do it better. We have standards. They'll be trained in sensitivity and whatever in my aching ass. But it's the next, I hate to use this word, it's the next logical step in my mind when they're talking about this. It's crazy. And I don't know if they'll ever get it done or not, but I think that's right up their alley. And real quickly back on one of the things you talked about is like, yeah, what happened in Michigan or Minnesota was awful, but you can't get around the fact that the person they said stop, and when he's out of the car and they told him what to do because he had a warrant, and you try to get back in the car and haul ass and run away. Yeah, the lady, how you could ever grab a pistol and think it was your taser, I have no idea. Maybe she was all adrenaline up. Obviously, I think cops need more training, like jujitsu, like stuff that you don't have to have. Like, but back to the point, like, dude, I'd fully expect to get sparks shot out my ass and kicked to hell if when I got pulled over and I was out of my rig, and whether I knew I had warrants or not, I'm like, all right, sir, hey, Mr. Wells, you got warrants, we're gonna have to take you. And I try to go push the cops away and jump back in my car to haul ass. Like, I'd full expect a beat down for sure if that was what I pulled off. Not you're persecuting me because of anything else. Like, you were actively breaking the law on camera right now.
Yeah.
Ralls, what do you have?
as far as more training goes, I think that our police forces go through a very rigorous training. And to my knowledge, they have to continue their training throughout their career.
I'm sure.
I got a better idea. Why don't we teach the fucking public to listen when the cops are talking to you and do what they ask you to do? And I mean, it goes back to the liar again. Stop breaking the law, asshole. It's fucking simple. They're there for a reason. And to sit here and act like the cops are guilty of something or they're one, you know what? I don't care if it's a fucking taser or a gun. If I gave them an excuse to pull it out of their fucking holster, they should use it.
That's what I said. I'd fully expect to have sparks flying out my ass if I'd have done that with this most recent person outside the car. They said, "You've got arrest warrants. We're going to have to arrest you." Literally pushes him off, jumps in the car trying to get away, and they're battling with him. If I did that, I would expect to have my ass kicked.
Yeah.
No doubt. And everybody I know would be like, "Well, you dumb fuck. What are you trying to do? Of course you got your ass kicked. You're resisting arrest." Like, it would be no question.
How about we go back to grade school and teach kids how to be accountable and responsible for their fucking actions?
I mean, it's on all sides. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think there's always things we can do smarter. We can always be more prepared. No doubt about it. But yeah, it's in sure. Yeah, there was probably times when people got pulled over when they shouldn't have. Probably. I think that's quite a while ago, though. Really, I think that's like that's 50s and 60s. I'm gonna guess, but I don't know. I wasn't there.
I got one.
Why do we keep making excuses for criminals?
I don't know.
Why do we keep making excuses for criminals?
We shouldn't. And the sad part is, I think everybody hopefully is realizing more and more too. It's not about that. It's about the other side of the agenda that, instantly people are ready to go at the drop of a hat to go steal shit from Target. That's not conducive to get anything done, man. It's not. That's not the point either. Sorry, Joel, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with what both of you said. But when you talk to somebody who disagrees with you, they don't disagree with you on the principle that, yeah, the guy was breaking the law and trying to run away. But their side is, why is the cop drawing their gun in the first place? Okay, so then the logical conclusion is like
training.
Okay, if you're going to have cops, there's a reasonable risk that if you disobey them the way we currently have it set up, it's risky to try to run from them. They might shoot you.
Yeah, it is.
And especially if you're fighting with them and struggling with them.
You're trying to get back in your car and you're fighting with them. Like, I don't know what you have in your car. I don't know what you're capable of. I don't trust anyone.
Yeah, it's like showing a little bit of, it's showing empathy for what that police officer is going through. And a lot of people would say today is like, fuck them. Who cares what they think? But these people are just regular people making
absolutely
mediocre salary, putting their lives in danger.
Yes.
And you're going to criticize them. So, and I always think back, when I got one traffic ticket in my life, and it was right when I turned 16, and we were speeding back from the cliffs out at Reef.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was just going way too fast at nighttime. And a cop turned his lights on behind me, and I'm like, oh, fuck. So I stopped pretty much where I'm at on that dark road, almost back to John Deere.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, fuck, what do I do? I need my registration. So I'm like, I got to see if it's in the jockey box. And I start digging around looking for it in the jockey box. And
bad move.
Panicking that I wasn't going to have that certificate on me. I was going to get in trouble. And then he came out. He seemed really scared. Remember? And I didn't understand why. And then now looking back on it, I'm like, holy fuck, that's terrifying. He told me, he was like, going forward, keep your hands on the wheel when you get pulled over. I feel like I almost got shot for
he was definitely extra heightened. Yeah, for sure. Think about it. You don't know who you're pulling over, man. You have no idea. You're like, if I'm not
a gun in a jockey box.
Yeah, like a moron. It's like if I'm not paying attention, every single second, I'm dead. I can easily be dead. You just don't know. And so, yeah, obviously you're a little more heightened up. And then when somebody's out of the rig and they're trying to get back in, it's like, I don't know what you're doing, man. I have to assume the worst, that you're trying to harm me. I'm trying to stop you. You're not listening to me. My job is to have you stop. You're not listening. Again, I don't know. I mean, it must have been an incredibly tense moment. Your taser and your pistol are on different sides. That's by design. They look and feel different. The taser's usually bright yellow with some black. The Glock, all black. Like, I still don't think, obviously don't think it was intentional that she pulled out her pistol and shot that guy. If it was, she probably would have said so, but that's awful. It's still somebody's life, and people are saying, like, just let him go. Like, that's not the answer. Honestly, that's not the answer. People should not get pulled over, resist, and be able to just go away. Like, no, not going to happen. So it sucks ass, but I think the worst part is it always turns into something that it really is not. And the focus goes instantly off that. It goes completely wrong. This poor lady, that the cop that shot this person, we've already seen her mugshot 100 times. We know everything there is to know about her. And to bring this up, like the lady that was killed on January 6th at the Capitol, we still don't know anything about the person who killed her or why or what. And we'll never probably know their identity. And I think that's either you don't know anybody's or you know everybody's. I think that's the only fair thing. So that's completely jacked up. So yeah, it's just effed. And I think part of it is they just keep stirring the pot, man. I think Charles Barkley hit it on the head. Like 99.9% of all of us are pretty good people, and we don't give a shit about anything that they say that we do. That's the problem. They're just trying to stir the pot and divide, because that's how they get stuff done. 99% of people don't care. They don't know. They don't even, doesn't even register, man. That's the problem. Rawls, what are you thinking? Either you just farted or you got a pretty intense thought going on there. It could be both. I don't know.
There's just a lot of thoughts going on surrounding the subject. I mean, they want to do away with the police. They want to come after your guns in one manner or another. They want to suppress. They want to. The entire voting debacle, as far as voter ID and trying to come up with an honest election, which is the backbone of our constitutional rights, is being able to cast your vote. It's our biggest freedom of speech. You just step back and you look at all the deteriorating motives of our Constitution and what we the people have, and you sit there and talk about the 99% that really don't give a shit what those people think. I don't know. It's aggravating. It makes me wonder, when is that 99% gonna put their heads together and
exactly what I was saying. When are people going to say enough of this?
Enough
bullshit.
is enough.
Enough of this. This is not what this is about. You guys get the hell out of here. You're full of shit. No, I just don't know. That's what frustrates me.
And here's the simple side of this whole fucking deal. The media just spins it and casts it and throws it in every direction they can, and people still sit there and watch the fucking TV. Quit. Yeah. Don't pay attention to them.
I totally agree.
Did you see the news that came out today, that whole Russian bounty
I heard parts of it
was not true?
Yeah.
What is that?
So there was a news report that was reported heavily that Putin was paying, I believe he was paying like Afghan terrorists a bounty for American soldiers, to kill American soldiers. And somehow the Democrats use this as like a campaign tool to criticize Trump.
Pro-Putin.
And I don't know. I don't really understand the logic of that, but I just remember them, like, I remember like a guy that I'm on a text chain with, him talking about it a lot. And one, I didn't even see what the big deal was. Like, okay, Putin's a bad guy.
Yeah, duh.
Okay. Okay, and that's one. But for some reason, that was a very important, influential news story, and it turns out it was bullshit. And then I forget them off the top of my head, but over the last couple of weeks, there's been a couple of them. These stories in hindsight. Yeah, sorry, correction.
Mm-hmm.
It was another one about some sources, and it turned out that the source was another lie or something.
Yeah, total crap. Yeah, several of those things, and the press secretary that was for Trump, she was like, I literally remember numerous times saying this is completely false and unfounded in my press briefings, and now obviously it comes out today. Yeah, whoops. And yeah, my gear grinding was going to be about Project Veritas and the undercover stuff they got on the guy from CNN, who's just blatantly like, oh hell yeah, just like every bad thought we've ever had about CNN, like, yeah, it's biased, yeah, they're trying to form the narrative, yeah, they're going against these people because it's bad for Democrats. The guy's just fully like just spewing it, and so that's been on. And then the guy who runs Project Veritas, they totally kick him off Twitter and Facebook, I believe, for violating some made-up deal. Surprise, and you're just like, it's so veiled. And like Rawls said, like, why would you listen to anything they have to say? Like, you can't trust a damn word of it. And like, how sad is that, dude?
Do you guys have any idea or understanding how news organizations generate revenue off of viewership? Anybody know how that works?
Well, the ads they sell and the watching they get. Yeah.
I guess I'm curious. People just boycotted it as a whole. What's that going to do to their bottom line?
It's already in a crapper. I mean, that's why so before, like, well, Trump said it all the time, like, now that I'm gone, CNN's going to suck even more. But like, even before that, like, nobody, I don't think, hardly ever watches CNN. Like, it's on at the airport. That's probably the only ratings they get. So they're subsidizing that, dude, because it's for the cause, so to speak. Like, they don't have to make money. They don't care. But like, the guy that was talking, if you can find it online, the guy talking from CNN about to Veritas, he didn't know he was talking to Veritas about the corona numbers, dude. He's like, we had to constantly keep the death numbers on the screen. That was pure ratings goal. And he's just like, and he's like, even like, I even felt a little bad because it's like people, but it was good. And you're just like, sweet Lord. So yeah, it's all about the ratings and keeping the news going. And I don't know who the hell could ever watch MSNBC or CNN or any of that. I just don't. But it's just, their own little. The fact that Cuomo got a freaking Emmy, the fact that Cuomo used to be interviewed by his brother and they called that news, is beyond laughable. Like, this is shit that was, if this stuff was happening in another country, we would be all pointing at it and laughing and saying how awful it is and be like, we should probably help those poor people. Yet it's right here and it's just swirling around us like a toilet full of turds. And we're just like, oh, wow, this is awful. And some people are like, this is normal. This is what it's supposed to be like. You're like, you're out of your gourd. It doesn't remotely make sense. So now, yeah, we got border shit going on. We're not talking about Cuomo at all. We're not talking about Gavin Newsom in California. It's always look over here somewhere else. Don't pay attention to really what's going on. And you say it out loud, and you're like, man, I sound like some kind of weirdo saying don't believe the news. But it's 100% true. Like, how could you ever believe the news? Like, it's not the news. It's their story. Like, they're telling it so you'll believe what they want you to believe. Like, that's not news. That's atrocious.
It's probably the truth to those people. Like, just like, I think you like Tucker Carlson. He's
I listen to Tucker, but I don't listen. I don't believe everything Tucker says either.
If you have a different thought process, you would think that everything he says is wrong. So that's why they call him a liar. And we can look at Rachel Maddow and be like, that lying fucking bitch.
Yeah.
But to their, and I hate to sound like a weirdo, but to their truth, their line of thinking, they're not wrong. They just think about the world differently, I believe. They have a different thought process. So all this trying to convince the other side that, look at it this way, like,
yeah, but
you got to start at a more foundational level.
There's not like, look at it this way. There's physically making shit up.
It's
Sources say, or like we just talked about 2 examples at least were like completely false bullshit. Now, either they knew it from the very beginning or they didn't do their job for shit on the source, quote unquote source. Most of the time the source is like, this sounds good to me. Like, that's not right, man. I don't care what your point of view is.
It's not their thought process that is concerning here. It's what they're doing to everybody else's thought process. I mean,
well said, Ralls. Well
said. Here they are. They have us sitting here talking about all this bullshit, and that's exactly what they want.
Yeah, totally. It's so
I think they want us to shut up, actually.
That's part of it too. I think they want, I really, really believe like the overall goal is everybody at each other's throats. Completely.
Conquer and divide.
Absolutely. Divide and conquer. No doubt. What's the easiest way to do that? It's racism, man. Like the lengths they're going to talk about, and it's like, dude, they always come up with these weird theories about white supremacy where I'm like, okay. That's why I was joking about, I guess I didn't get that newsletter either. What are you talking about? Yeah, it's like, I don't see it. I don't know if anybody sees it. Like,
I think that's a understated. You probably talk about it different times because it's a long conversation. But the understated thing is that the loss of reliable news sources is a problem. Like the New York Times, it used to be the paper records. So, like, we can all agree that they do factual reporting. Them and the Wall Street Journal, right? And maybe there's slight bias in their opinion section, but yeah, it's infiltrated their front page in a very obvious way.
Oh yeah, it's awful. Yeah.
The big one recently with the New York Times was what did they just do? It'll come back to me. I just had it, but
well, all I can say is there's plenty of to grind our gears about. I try not to let it get to me, but at times you just have to let it do that.
I remember. So a piece came out that I read about absentee voting. Like, if you say today, like what Trump claims is absentee voting is ripe for fraud. And if you go out there and say that on the news, they're going to paint you as a far right conspiracy theorist, and they'll be like, it's a gold standard, it's perfectly safe. The New York Times will censor you from saying such a outlandish thing. But somebody pulled up the New York Times for like since the year 2000. They looked all the way back to 2000. The New York Times quite frequently had experts that would say that absentee voting is full of fraud. It's the most vulnerable form of voting, and they often discussed like, what can we do to prevent that? And now it is, you're a racist conspiracy theorist if you suggest that. Maybe that wasn't fully above board.
My rule of thumb is like, if you instantly just say I'm a racist, then obviously you don't have any argument or thought behind what you're saying. Like it's ridiculous. But yeah, makes my brain hurt. So awesome. Well, I think that's a good time to shift gears. We're going to go to our upcoming entertainment spotlight. I think Mr. Bigsby will be the one lighting our pathway, if you will, for what we will focus on our next coming episode. So Rawley, you have any thoughts on our next entertainment spotlight, my good sir?
I'm going to go with the entertainment side of the spotlight and go with Austin Powers, the International Man of Mystery.
Oh, behave. 1997 classic with Mike Myers, PG-13, 1 hour 29 minutes. I just happen to have that up on IMDb. So the ever impressive.
Like, coincidentally?
Yeah.
You just happened.
Kinky.
All right.
Yeah, Elizabeth Hurley is still classic beauty. Mimi Rogers, of course. Fabiana, the hot chick from summer school. A lot of Fashina. Yeah, like this movie's so funny, dude. So I don't even have to watch it to start laughing. Going to, yes. Sorry,
Number
Rawley, I got a little
two.
carried away. Yeah.
Who do you work for?
Who does?
Who does number two?
Hey man, how about a courtesy flush over there? Jesus, yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of
just
crazy.
watched,
Get up there, fella. Actually, I'm English. No, that's too bad.
I just watched So I Married an Axe Murderer. Another
Oh
Mike
my god, I
Myers.
love that movie.
I
That
I had never watched it before.
really. Oh,
Yeah.
it's it kind of flew under the radar, but absolutely hilarious. Rawls, I can't thank you enough for a little Austin Powers here. The first one, right? Yeah,
Yes.
That's the first one. International Man of Mystery. She's a man, baby.
We'll really break that one down next week. Get into
Yes.
the deeper meaning of.
We'll probably talk 2 hours for an hour and a half movie, I'm guessing. Allow myself to introduce myself. Woohoo! Outstanding. Next entertainment spotlight. Oh, behave. Yeah. Too funny. Awesome. Well done. All right, we got a little bit of reach your mail, and then we have quickly on buying stuff, and then best thing of the week. So that's kind of the next few steps here, kids. Reach your mail. I'll call her Miss S from Charlotte. She was rather passionate about this, and I couldn't blame her, but she says, how can you rant on Dolly Parton and then spend so much time on Willie Nelson? He was good and all, but Dolly was so ahead of her time and things and so courageous. You bastards. And I said, we were talking about Willie and the music. I think Dolly was definitely cutting edge in some things, music for sure, but I think more socially and other things. And I didn't give a shit much about that as some other people do, but she's got her own. I'm like, yeah, how could you forget Islands in the Stream? So there's that. But she was very impassioned about her love and appreciation of Dolly Parton. I have to say, well,
courageous is a strong word.
It was. Well, she dealt with a lot of stuff. It was hard for women to be in country music, especially Dolly. So I'll put it that way. And that's why I said I didn't pay attention to that chick because A, I was younger, and B, it didn't matter to me. So yeah, I like her songs. That's cool and all, but like Jolene's pretty cool song. I like that. I like Whitney Houston's version better of I Will Always Love You. I'll say that. That's a pretty bold statement for some people, but I think Dolly's really cool too, though.
Yeah, she's plenty talented. She deserves what she has. But I mean, like, what about like Tanya Tucker is similar. They're both like super talented prodigies, young. I think Tanya Tucker's better. I think Dolly Parton just appeals to a newer, wider audience.
I'm going to go white or not on that. Or
nobody needs to go out there and brag on Dolly Parton. Like everybody knows.
I think
Dolly
she was
Parton.
more probably socially advanced in some ways than she was musically. She was very talented musically, don't get me wrong. But I think you hit it on the head. Like I probably lean more towards Tanya Tucker because of just her music stuff, not anything else per se. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting point. So
she's a better musician, Tanya.
She's pretty talented that way too. Yeah. Can't go wrong with either one. I would say that. I probably wouldn't hit skip if one of them come on, but I'm not going to go fire it up probably either. But Miss
can't wait to see you riding down there in your new 4Runner, banging out Dolly.
Little Dolly, Jolene. Oh, I'll karaoke the bejesus out of that. So I got a lot of positive, mostly positive, a lot of interaction on the most recent Far Reaches Extra too with Mr. Joe Blankenship. He lives in Pendleton now. He's from Montana in North Dakota originally. We just had a good hour and a half or so of telling stories and laughing about some people. And so it's got a lot of views. And Joe shared it with his group too, called Cowboys Can Cook on Facebook. And a lot of those folks on there that he'd mentioned in the podcast have had a chance to watch it too and comment. And so we had I have some people, their name, all I have is is I'll just keep it with what like their handle is. So like Blind Squirrel Hunter in Oregon said, dude, FRX9 nude photo on the couch almost killed me. So if you've listened to it, Joe tells a story about Valentine's Day where he took some photos on the couch for somebody else. Sort of to him. Yeah, it's pretty funny. So if you get a chance to listen to that. Anonymous person in Montana, you and Joe look way too much alike and our characters. Are you related? No, thank God. We had Mary in Oregon. She's a member of the Cowboys Can Cook family. And she actually did this before she even knew that Joe was going to be on Far Reaches Extra. She was just talking about us everyday Far Reaches. And she said, dinner with the side of Far Reaches podcast. If you haven't listened to that podcast, I highly recommend it. Entertainment with an extra side of important conversations that should be had on a regular basis. So Miss Dairy Mary in Oregon, I really appreciate that cool shout out of nowhere. She didn't have to do that. Just felt like sharing it. So that was pretty cool. But a lot of feedback on the Far Reaches Extra. Those are fun to do. So we'll keep those coming. If you have suggestions for people we should talk to, please get them to us. Obviously, the Reachers are always looking to talk to interesting people. Doesn't have to be anything earth shattering. We just told stories about funny people and had a great old time. So highly recommend it if you get the chance. But thanks for everybody's great feedback on that as well. It's been fun to hear all the new people figuring out who we are and what we do, and maybe even listening to this one. So that's kind of scary. We're having fun. We'll go to one of our newer segments, buying stuff. And we were talking a little bit before we came on the air about a good bumper for Rawley's new pickup, new to him, I should say. And I think we're certainly both of the same opinion that a good ranch hand bumper is pretty hard to beat, but also hard to find at times too. So
maybe explain quickly why somebody would just don't run into stuff. What do you need a bumper for?
A lot of times when you're driving down the road and a deer just fucking comes out of nowhere, you have zero time to respond. So I'd rather have a nice big bumper on the front than have him in my front seat or tear the bejesus out of the front end of my rig. So
okay, that's what they're for.
Yeah, big part of it. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Because literally, you're just driving along, especially at night. Next thing you know, deer. Like, sometimes you have a little reaction, but a lot of time, like the ones I've hit, you're just hauling ass at 70 or 50, whatever you're doing, and then there's a deer in your kitchen. So
and the bumper keeps them from flying like up into the windshield
and destroying the front end of your rig too.
Yeah.
It'll flat total the front of the car. So yeah, those ranch hands are well built. Like you can flat just jerkify a deer.
Yeah, never considered that.
It's an important concept. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a regular occurrence out in these parts. Like when I was hauling hay, I was telling Micah earlier, I know that I have hit 2 elk and 4 or 5 deer with that last pickup that I had that I was hauling with, and never even phased the ranch hand, and it just spit them out the back, But but you start thinking about that. I mean, if you got your family with you and whatnot, and you're driving at night, and all of a sudden they come off the bank, and and I don't know how many times my wife has had near misses, and she actually had a deer hit the mirror on the side of her car.
They'll run right into the side of your car for sure.
And so they're just a really good investment, as far as protecting your vehicle and livelihood, really. So
it was almost state law when I was growing up. So Pine Creek is about 14 miles south of Lakeview, and that road, it was like deer slaying alley. You got a new rig, like before you even went anywhere with it, we always built them. We had the buckwheat special. We built it out of pipe and angle iron, but you didn't drive a new rig without one of those on the front, because you would tater a deer at some point. No doubt about it. Even I had one time I was following somebody and I was a ways back, but not terribly far away. They hit a deer. It spun it around right in front of me. Like nothing you can do about it. Most of the time, there's no chance to even slow down. And that's the worst thing you can do, is try to like whip out of the way. Like you just slow as much as you can if you have a chance. But most of the time you don't. So yeah, highly recommend, and especially ranch hand.
It's a real elusive creature out there.
Turns out, yeah. I got one with my van going 55 with the fucking horn blaring. Yeah.
Spend all weekend out in snow trying to hunt these things.
Ron White, the best. Yeah. So yeah, Rawley's looking for a ranch hand bumper for his 03 Dodge.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 ton.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. They're out there. They're I don't know. Sounds like I'm not sure if it's manufacturer back order, if there's some sort of supply chain difficulties right now with the whole COVID bullshit. But I don't know.
We've got run low on those chip. Well, no, I guess that's a different subject. I was talking about cars in general.
Oh,
yeah. The chip shortage.
No, I think that there's probably quite a bit of shortages in a lot of different businesses, but
dude, I tell you, it's hitting ours because of all the assholes that are testing.
Yeah,
everything, like just the basic supplies that we would normally use for DNA extraction.
Yeah,
they're very similar to what you use when you're testing for this stuff. And
yeah,
Falcon, it's highly in demand.
Yeah,
just saying. Outstanding. So yeah, if anybody's got suggestions, if you think you know a better bumper than a ranch hand, I mean, not the one you make in your shop, that's obviously somewhat biased, but there's some other ones out there. I think it's just the most established, well built for the model of rig you're looking at.
I think it's really the only major commercialized one. I mean, there's Buckstop and
several there's another one I was looking at the other day. You actually get it. It comes in pieces and you weld it together, and it's pretty well stout.
Yeah,
but it's nothing like a ranch hand. Even then, I've been looking a lot for the 4Runner because it is something I want to put on the front. But like I said, if I get the ranch hand I really want, it's probably going to be dragging the front end. So
and they make, like I said,
they make a modified one.
You can Facebook Marketplace. You just put bumper in, and they'll show up on there. There's all types of different ones made.
I must have been on the wrong part of the internet when I put bumper in.
Yeah,
it was really weird. I think it was worth $20. But anyways, yeah, I digress. So
bumper.
But yeah, buying stuff. We're looking for ranch hand bumpers. Your thoughts, input. Maybe if you even have an extra one or know where somebody who sleeps really soundly has one, that's fine too. We're not opposed to.
How is that not the perfect thing for both?
Should be. You might have one laying around. You might. I don't know. There's a chance. They probably go pretty quick. I'm guessing if a rig comes in, it's been totaled. So probably the cab and the ass ends all tore up, and the ranch end's still good. Could be. So wouldn't hurt to check.
Hey, if you hit a deer and kill one, would you ever take it?
Absolutely, I have.
Eat it?
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the shape.
Depends on the shape. If it's totally like turned into a balloon, then no. Try to get it off the road if I have a chance, but that doesn't always happen either. Sometimes it's more dangerous to stop and pull it off the road than to keep going. So, but I've definitely drug them home that I've hit for sure. I don't know what the legality is on that, but
they just legalized it in Wyoming or some shit like this week.
I'm sure that was a giant relief for everybody in Wyoming. This shit's legal now. Yeah, that's what my Uncle Buckwheat called those deer. He called them deer slayer. I got to put a deer slayer on your pickup there. I'm like, yeah, that sounds good, because that's exactly what it would do.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine making laws like you can't eat that. I can eat whatever I want.
Like, dude, you got to catch me for one. Like, I'm between Lakeview and Pine Creek at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night. Like, there ain't nobody out there. Yeah, it's just you loading up what's left of that deer and skinning her out. But yeah, so if it's not completely impaled, sure. So
the reason why you wouldn't eat an impaled one is probably too much.
It's just
interior damage,
bloodshot, and guts. As soon as the guts like get all over stuff, it gets a little harder to make it really.
It's about like that seafood you smelled earlier.
Yeah, you might be horking a bit, so you don't want that.
Deer meat would make me gag as well.
Really?
Yeah, deer and elk, it's gross. I have no interest in it.
Interesting. Ralls, you have a mission. bring Joel up, work the piss out of him, then feed him some good elk steak or something. Elk burger.
I'll change your mind.
A little backstrap action. I'll come build fence for backstrap.
Tell Rawley I'll be back in an hour. I'm going to Baker to taco time.
Oh, that reminds me of a great story when Law Dog and Big Daddy were with the first child. Yes. We won't get into that now, though. It's pretty funny. Awesome. That leads us to our final segment of this episode, folks. The best thing of the week. Some of you are probably thinking best thing of the week. This shit's coming to a close. Probably can't argue that sometimes, but I, for one, have enjoyed our session, and so hopefully you did as well. But who wants to go first? You guys are both kind of looking like the teachers. Don't call on me. Yeah.
I thought we got rid of this segment.
I brought it back. Take it relax. Yeah.
Because I already ruined it.
What?
I don't know, ruined it. But the best thing of the week was seeing Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. I might have. Sometimes you have thoughts flow through at the end that come out, so I'm all for that. You don't have to answer it, but I thought it would be a good one to go back.
I've now seen Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, two of the top comics to ever live, front row in comedy clubs. I've never seen. I saw Seinfeld and Bill Burr in a small comedy club.
Burr.
But I still need to see Louis C.K. I missed Louis C.K. by a day a couple of weeks ago. I missed him by a day at the stand. And I think that's about it. I just haven't seen Louis.
I miss Louis. Louis was good. Hopefully Louis keeps coming back. Ralls, what do you got, home slice?
Oh, I really haven't given it a lot of thought, but probably the best thing is just getting cattle turned out and off the feed pile.
Absolutely. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching every day.
Yeah, it's nice when winter comes to an end and you just turns into another different job, but the cycle continues. So
winter feeding costs account to as much or sometimes more than 60% of the annual operating costs per cow. That's pretty rough.
Yep. Do you usually end up with extra hay at the end of the year? Well, I know it probably lasts maybe like a year, maybe 2 years. I don't know. But you probably have to just burn some of it, right?
No.
Keep it covered.
Depends on how it's been stored. Actually, I don't think I've ever come down to where I'm just about perfect. Like I counted a day and I've got to 15 bales left, and I'm gonna be done throwing hay in 3 days. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
You try to forecast. I always put myself on target for April 15th, and well, today's the 15th. So it's
son of a bocce, it is.
Tax day.
Yeah, it's coming out to where it should be. So
previous tax day. Did we kick it up like a month or something?
You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay until next month this year.
Oh, good.
You still have to file your taxes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you just had an extension. Yeah. Sons of bitches. Awesome. Good one, Rawls. Because it's a shifting of the tides, so to speak, the spring, the growth.
Yes, let spring come. We need some
emergence. Yeah.
We need some warm weather and some rain. Pretty good.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's what I did. I had a couple projects around the hacienda. My little, I call it my Jimmy Buffett space. It had it was kind of open, but there was pillars in the middle, so it really wasn't fully open. It kind of blocked the view. I had to walk around it and shit. So I stole a bunch of wood from somewhere else and built an overhead and a header, put in a big beam so I could take those middle parts out. So it's all open now, which is nice. And then I stole a rain barrel too and worked it all over. So now it has the gutter runs into the rain barrel. I put a tap on it and overflow so I can water stuff with the rain and it doesn't run down underneath my house. So
you did all this yourself, huh?
Affirmative, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. My new my DeWalt cordless set came in pretty handy on that. The skill saw and the sawzall. Sawzall took the top of the barrel out quick, fast, and in a hurry. Yeah. pretty fun. So nice little, I got that done last Friday evening, I believe. So it's pretty cool. And then it just absolutely dumped rain. So my barrel filled up in around 6 minutes. I think it was full.
Did you like stand out there and watch it in action?
I did.
Admire your work.
I was standing in my screen porch because I could see the water coming out of the downspout right into the barrel. I'm like, hell yeah, because I had it all. It's up high off the ground, so you can have a hose come off and have pressure, and it's all braced and built on bricks that I found to stack all up. So man, it didn't tip over. The water hit where it's supposed to. The screen didn't come off. It's all held up. The overflow hose worked just fine.
Just a
hashtag
injection of testosterone. Run inside and jerk off real quick.
I didn't run inside. I ran outside and jerked off. That's how good it was. Yeah. Certainly. Yeah. Then I went straight to the door. I couldn't get to
right into the barrel.
Between the all the carpentry that worked out really nice and the new barrel. Yeah, it was. I had to clean the pool. There's no way around it. So it was, I am all that is man. It's glorious. Yeah, did a bunch of compost work. It was freaking chaos around here, man. Yeah. I got 2 compost bins built. It's on like Cheech and Chong. Gardens going ape shit. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
perfect.
Sustainability. Harumph. Yeah. So awesome. So we have coming up next week or next time we meet, we have Rawley's badass movie of International Men of Mystery. Hope behave. And Ralls will also have Word of the Week, which we skipped this week since Richard was parts unknown and didn't want to put anybody else on the spot. So yeah. And then I think the rotation goes Mr. Joel next, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think that's how it
goes. Already?
Yeah.
All right.
I believe so. So you have been warned, good sir. But again,
ready to go.
Everybody's feedback on the Far Reaches Extra. I can't thank you enough for that. Hopefully you check out some of our other episodes. Hopefully you're watching this one and be like, that's what these guys normally do? Son of a gun. I can't wait to watch the next one. So like it, share it. One quick thing too for everybody, if we can get you to go to YouTube and follow there and subscribe. The more followers we get there, the cooler things we can do with our YouTube and our videos and advertising and all of that. So we need more followers on that. I know we have a lot of people that listen. There's only like 35 or 40 people on YouTube that actually subscribe and get the updates when this comes out. And I don't blame you because you probably don't watch it, but it would be handy. So I'd ask you to go do that. And just keep the comments coming, and we'll try to keep doing this, whatever the hell it is. So, till then, keep on reaching, and we will see you all next time.